council to order, please. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Councilmember Carr?
Here.
Councilmember Panduro?
Here.
Councilmember Tonneson?
Here.
Councilmember Vaccaro and Councilmember Williams are absent, as is Vice Mayor Bertani. And Mayor Moy?
I'm here.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Our invocation tonight will be presented by Pastor Jeff Hood from the First Baptist Church. Hello, Pastor.
Hi there. Let's pray together. Lord, I thank you that that you care about what's going to happen here this evening. That as we talk to you about it, you're not going, whatever, this doesn't interest me, but you care, you're with us, and we can come to you with our concerns. I thank you for that. I pray for all that will happen tonight, everything that occurs. And I pray particularly for the council as they hear from people, as they weigh their options, as they make decisions. I love our city, and I'm certain that our mayor and council love our city as well. I pray that you would give them the wisdom they need to make decisions that will do the most good for the most people in our area, because the people is what it's all about. Help them to do their best to cause Fairfield to thrive. And Father, I thank you for everyone who's here tonight, and I pray that you will be with each person and that your will would be done in this place. And I pray these things in your name, Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor. And Clerk, Madam Clerk, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Certainly.
All righty, we're going to go to council reports, and we'll go to you, Councilman Doug.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. I'll keep it brief. I did go to a couple of ribbon cuttings, and one of the funnest ribbon cuttings I ever went to was the Nitro, the new indoor car track. And I got to tell you guys, you want to go check that place out. They have 2 stories now that you raise, you drop down, and they have a miniature golf in the back that's all kind of modern, neon. Just watch your step. I almost fell a couple times back there. And they have axe throwing. So they have everything, conference area. I met the owners. It's really neat, a lot of fun, and I'm really glad they're here in Fairfield. And then the next place I did a ribbon cutting was our new cookie store downtown, and he had a real good marketing ploy. He said first 100 people got a free cookie. The line went around the block. He probably sold 800 cookies, I think he said. But I went there the next day and had a sample it, and they are delicious. Homemade style, real good cookies. So that's my report, Mayor. Thank you.
Now that you've made us hungry for dessert, Councilwoman Panduro.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everyone. I just had an update on Capsilano JPA, so that's our homeless regional committee that we are a part of, along with every other city in the county and the county as well. And so just one update to, I think it was on the agenda last time, but it was Councilmember Rick Vaccaro's last meeting, and so now Councilmember Doug Carr will now be joining me on Capsilano. And at the last meeting on Thursday, we have been talking about finding staffing and getting each city to pay in to have staffing for the Capsilano. And so finally we had a monumental step forward, and it was quite the night. But at the end of the night, we are moving forward with allowing, all the MOUs have been pretty much approved. I think Vallejo is the last city, and then the county will now be able to hire staff or move forward with hiring staff to staff the Capsilano JPA, which means that now there will be staff to actually go out and grab the grants and funding that we need to be able to support our homeless service providers in the county. And that is my report. Thank you, Mayor.
Super exciting. Councilman Tonneson.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, we go to a lot of the same openings. So I was with Doug and actually Doris. We're at it's called Butter Pecan. It's the new cookie shop. I was able to go back and get a dozen the next day. And it was interesting because on the door they were temporarily sold out, but you could go in and order them and then come back in half hour, and pick them up, and they were warm, and I ate more than one. And then nitro racing, me and Doug was there. Doug did one of the races, and he was Dangerous Doug. They also have glow in the dark golf. It's a 9-hole golf course, and like Doug said, you watch your step. And then I went to the final flight of General Salmi. General Salmi, if many of you don't know, is the wing commander for Travis Air Force Base. And what was crazy about that is that he's a pilot. He can fly, I don't know how many planes, a lot of them. And so it was him that came over in the C-5 or C-17, one of them, a big plane, but it was the general himself, and he flew over us, and then he came out and he landed and he taxied up and he's waving to us out the window. So it was a pretty special day. So that's it for me, Mayor.
All righty. And I just want everybody to know that we do have cooling centers for our homeless friends and others. The libraries are open for that, as well as our adult center, the senior center. I still call it that, but it's open as well. And so everybody should know that. And if you work with our people who are houseless, please let them know. So we don't have anybody in this horrible heat. It's just so dangerous. The other thing that I wanted to bring up is, and I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about it, but that the Supreme Court ruled that people can no longer camp on public property, and we are enforcing that. And our chief is going to be coming back in a couple weeks to give some details. We want everybody to understand that we will continue with our compassionate approach. Let's see. Oh, one more, sorry. Thank you, Mr. City Mayor, just keeping me in line. Bay North Church, also Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, 12 to 8 p.m. is also an area for cooling, so folks can go there, and that's on Pennsylvania Avenue. So back to the camping. We do have laws in this city that it's illegal, but for years it was allowed because of a court ruling. The Supreme Court overturned that. And so now it is no longer, and so what we're looking for is the help of all of our folks who work with homeless to let them know it's no longer here. No, we're not throwing them in jail right away. They will be warned, and then, we'll escalate from there. But we're going to educate first. And our police chief, again, is going to come and give a full rundown on that in a couple of weeks so we can all understand where we are, because it's a big change. Just wanted to give a little bit about that so people would understand. And also, just because you see a homeless person sitting, or somebody who looks like a homeless person sitting on a sidewalk somewhere and they have their goods with them, that is not an encampment. It is not illegal to be homeless. And so we need to have compassion for that. Please don't call the police. You can use your smartphone or call the police, the non-emergency number. Is that 428-7300, I think, and report encampments. That would be people who are setting up either with a tent or whatever. They look like they're staying for a while. And then we'll go out and talk to them. All right, and that's all I have. And then Mr. City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. Just one brief update. At our last city council meeting, I announced that CAL FIRE, in partnership with our fire department, we're going to be doing a controlled training burn. That is now called off. So it was either July 8th through 11th or 15th through 18th, weather depending, but that is not going to happen. So additional announcements and messaging will be going out from our fire department. That is all I have to report tonight, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. City Attorney.
I have nothing to report. Thank you.
And Madam Clerk.
Just that the next trash mob will be held on August 24th, 9 to 11. That's a Saturday, across from the AM/PM at 105 Lopes Road. You can contact me if you want to sign up. Thank you.
Excellent. And then we don't want to forget that on July 4th, Independence Day, we do have a parade downtown. Starts at 10 o'clock, and we just go around downtown, down by Armio, and it's big usually. With the heat, we're in the morning, so we'll be okay. So hope to see you guys all there, waving your flags, and we'll cheer for you, because you're our bosses, and we love you. So, all right, so let's move on to presentations, please.
We actually don't have any.
Okay, then we'll move off of presentations. Public comments, please.
Okay, thank you. Persons wishing to address the city council on subjects not on the agenda but within the jurisdiction of the council may do so at this time. The council cannot discuss or take action on matters not on the agenda for this meeting, but council members may briefly respond to statements made or questions raised by the public, ask for clarification from staff, refer the matter to staff, request staff to report back to the council at a subsequent meeting, or place the matter on a future agenda. To speak on an agenda item, please use the raise your hand feature if you're online, or press star 9 on your phone. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes per item. Thank you. And our first speaker is Joseph Johnson, to be followed by Ryan Misano.
Madam Mayor, members of the council, ladies and gentlemen, I rise today to share with you some information about an organization that has been a Vallejo institution. And let me pause for a second and express my appreciation and gratitude to the late Mayor Harry Price. I happen to have met him, and he spoke at one of my fraternity meetings, and I'm a member of Omega Psi Phi fraternity. We have more than 100 members in Solano County, all college-educated men. And I do know Rick Vaccaro used to be my boss at the County Office of Education, and Patrice Williams. We've been friends for almost 30 years. And Pam Bertini, I taught her daughter at middle school. So let me get to the point here, because I know I don't have very much time. The Omega Boys and Girls Club was started by a dynamic man by the name of Fillmore Graham more than 50 years ago, on November 1st, 1966, out of his garage at his house, because he was so concerned, and I'm going to just highlight it a little bit, about the plight of young people, boys in particular, but it's now girls and boys. And since that time, it's been an institution in Vallejo, but it became defunct when he passed away in 2014. And he and I were best of friends. And I worked assiduously to make sure that that club had proper funding. Unfortunately, after he passed away, it did not survive. But I made a pledge to his son and daughter that I would work assiduously to get that club back. And now, in about 2 years, less than 2 years, it will be reactivated. There will be a brand new building built, and I'm on the road to making sure it stays in perpetuity. My role now is to make sure I raise enough money so that even after I am gone, it will still be alive for the benefit of young people. And so, just to highlight something very quickly, I've got about 30 seconds left. Terry Davis used to be executive director when I was president of the board of directors at that club. Osby Davis used to be a legal advisor for the same club while I was the president of the board. Highlight just 3 guys who came through that club. One, Shaman Walton, Supervisor Shaman Walton, was the president of the San Francisco Board of Supervisors. Judge Robert Rigsby, now a federal judge.
Can you wind it up?
Go. And also C.C. Sabathia, former pitcher for the New York Yankees. So I have copies of here. We have for the 46th year, we had a doctor in it that we raised money for.
Thank you so much. Thank you for coming.
Our next speaker is Ryan Misano, to be followed by Rosalind Parhams.
Good evening, council. Good evening, citizens. I applaud your stance on homelessness. It's a tough issue, but there are reasons why the laws are the way they are. And actually, we actually have enough money to help all of the homeless. The unfortunate thing is our Federal Reserve is not federal. It's owned by private citizens who steal from all of us. And their name isn't on Google because they own Google. And if I say who they are,
Sorry.
they will say that I'm an anti-Semite, which I'm not. I just don't like people stealing. My website is masanonews.com. I'm trying to distill thousands of hours of research into 3 minutes, which is a very difficult task. But there are hundreds of books on that website that people can read. You're not going to find those books in the schools. You will not find them on Amazon. You will not find them in the libraries because censorship is a very real thing. And when people don't want information to be seen, they will hide it from you. If someone wanted to conquer America, they don't need to bring an army here. All they need to do is control the money and information. So I would submit to you that 96% of our media, our newspapers, yes, the Daily Republic, our television stations, our radio stations, they're all controlled. So we have to submit to ourselves, and this is difficult, it was difficult for me to do, that perhaps our current beliefs are shaped on propaganda, which was a book written by Edward Bernays, who was a member of a small group, and he was the nephew of Sigmund Freud, who was the father of modern day psychiatry, which I believe is nonsense. And those two did a lot to do to disarm America, our current belief system right now. So there's a lot of emotionally charged terms that we hear thrown around today, and these terms actually didn't exist 200 years ago. So I'll just throw out 4 of them: racist, Nazi, sexist, anti-Semite. These words didn't exist 200 years ago. These words have an agenda behind them to prevent intelligent discussion of items that need to be heard. So free speech, actually, we learned from the Supreme Court in 2017 in Mattal versus Tam that there is no exclusion for hate speech in the First Amendment. So whatever someone may think is hate speech, that is protected speech. So if we don't like what we hear, well, that's tough. If you don't like what you hear, free speech is designed to protect speech that you hate, not just speech that you like, which Stalin and Mao did. So Biden's, I'm just going to end up with this. Biden's administration, there's 474 members of the White House, 155 of them are Jewish, which is 33%. If Jews make up 2% of the population, that's 1,650% overrepresentation. Why aren't we discussing that the country that has received the most foreign aid from America since its inception in 1948 is Israel? And why are we sending hundreds of billions to Israel and another country run by a Jew, Ukraine? Thank you.
Next speaker is Rosalind, to be followed by Nancy Vanguardia.
Hello.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and City Council. I live on the 1400 block of Empire Street, and on...
Mic down. There you go. Yeah, there you go.
Thank you. Sorry about that.
No problem.
Yeah, I guess I'm here to be a bit of a tattletale on my the businesses on the other side of the alley from which I live. There's a lot of code enforcement violations that are occurring, and we were in danger of fires, and there were fires in the past caused by homeless people, pyromaniac. I know you guys probably saw the newspaper article that hit a couple weekends ago. But in any case, I would ask that the city crack down on the code enforcement of some of the businesses. They're leaving their dumpsters unsecured, and that way the homeless can get into them and do whatever. Some businesses do allow loitering and all manner of not so nice things like public urination and things like that around the buildings. Also, I would ask if the city could look into building a fireproof wall that would separate our homes, protect our homes from the alleyway because of the lack of code enforcement and the fire risk that's caused by the businesses. And that's pretty much it.
I'm sure you heard me earlier. You know, if you see somebody doing something, public urination, whatever, you can call the non-emergency number, and they'll send out a patrol car as soon as they can. Okay. Anything else, starting fires, whatever, that needs to be a 911. Thank you, and we have staff here. Did you want to say something?
Yeah, I was just going to let you know, we do have an active code case on that property and surrounding those issues. And police actually made an arrest last week related to arson, so.
Yeah, I saw it in the paper. Some of the other businesses, there's the one on the corner, Botchery, they're really bad. Sherwin-Williams, they have wooden pallets stacked up way high, out of code.
And ma'am, do you live on Empire? Do you back up to La Charita?
I back up to Sherwin-Williams.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Next speaker is Nancy Vanguardia.
Good evening. I'm also here to address the issues in that alleyway. I don't know how many of you know there have been 8 fires there in the last year. The big one was on July 2nd of last year, so a year from today, when the property I own there suffered substantial damage. The back fence was destroyed, there was damage to the garage, to the vegetation, and nothing was done. Well, after the 7th fire, which was not even a month ago, the fire marshal finally came out for the fire, and he said that he was now taking an interest. And I have to admit, the homeless encampment has not been rebuilt there. But there must be something that can be done. Maybe the alley could be opened up for, I don't know how long. It's been closed by a chain link fence that no one claims. But if it were opened, then the big trucks could stop going down the residential streets and use the alley, and it wouldn't leave open spot in that alley for people to camp. That could be a win-win for everyone. And another thought, like Rosalind said, something to protect us from the fires. And I know there's a code enforcement case. They've assured me that the owner is being fined, but fines don't hurt you if you don't pay them. And last I heard, he's not paying anything. And the only other thing was that everyone's just happy and great because the dumpster arsonist was caught. No one has mentioned that he was caught on Saturday and booked and released on Tuesday with no charges filed. And as far as I know, nothing has been done since then. So it wasn't as big a win as everyone would like us to believe. And as of this afternoon, La Charita's dumpster is sitting there near the corner of their building, right there at the front of the field, full of cardboard and unsecured. The lid is not closed or locked. So we're just waiting for it to happen again. And I've tried emailing code enforcement. Someone will be back to respond on the 8th, they said. I don't get answers when I call, but it would be really nice if we could feel like something was being done. Yeah. The fire marshal made me feel better because now there is not an encampment there. As if this afternoon there were 2 pallets in the main burn area, which is still full of burned debris, and 2 big stacks behind Sherwin-Williams. So the fuel is still there. We just need someone to stop this madness for us. Thank you.
Yeah,
Ma'am,
hold on
let
just a
me-
second. Oh, yeah, Councilman Tonneson.
Did I give you a card last week?
No,
Or
I wasn't
last
here
meeting? Let me give you
last
a
time.
card. You can email me directly.
Okay, thank you.
And one other thing, ma'am, do you have a smartphone?
I do.
It would be great if you could get the My Fairfield app. It's free. And as long as it's not at an emergency like a fire, you can report it on there, and then it will respond to you, and we can keep track of what's happening and what isn't. As far as the courts not charging, I don't know anything about that, but it is a problem in this state. A lot of things have changed, and this November you can help change them back by voting to turn Proposition 47 around. So I suggest those things, and it looks like our chief back there would like to speak to you too. At least he stood up. If I'm wrong, too bad.
Thanks, Nancy.
Thanks, chief, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Our next speaker is Anna Nicole.
Hello, my name is Anna Nicole, and I am an advocate for the unhoused. I just wanted to share an article with you about how they were able to successfully reduce their unhoused population in Houston, rather than printing it out to be more environmentally friendly. And for my wallet, I have a QR code. So on your own time, if you could just scan it, I have one for each one of you. Just check out this article.
Yeah, I've studied that. It is very interesting. Thank you for bringing it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you. That's it. Thanks.
Well, thank you.
Did anyone else wish to speak on public comment? Okay, there are no hands raised online. Oh.
All right, then we're going to go ahead and I'll entertain a motion to pass the consent calendar.
Oh, I do have one speaker would like to speak on item 4, Michael
Oh, okay.
Johnson.
Very good.
So if we can pull that and I'll read the item.
Okay. That'd be
Res-
great. Thank you.
Item 4, Resolution 2024-171 of the City Council of the City of Fairfield accepting the Lee Bell Neighborhood Park Sports Field lighting improvements as complete. And this is Michael Johnson.
Thank you.
Hi, Michael.
Hi. Mayor, I was very excited to hear your opening statement about the grants pass decision and looking forward to the improvements that come from that. Thank you.
We all are.
Yeah.
Yes.
On this item, I wanted to ask what we're doing to get equal access to athletic fields with lights to kids in Fairfield who play other sports. There are thousands of children in Fairfield who play soccer, but there are no soccer fields with lights in the city. Vallejo has a soccer field with lights. Vacaville has several fields with lights. Suisun City has a field with lights, a soccer field with lights, but Fairfield has none. If we're going to spend taxpayer funds, $688,000 on this lighting project at Lee Bell, $400,000 3 years ago on the Expos field at Laurel Creek, I think it needs to be equal for all of the children in our community. And I'm hoping to find what we can do to get equal access for all our kids to facilities like that. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. So we're going to go ahead then, and I'm going to entertain a motion for item 4 then.
So moved.
And Scott, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous among us. And now we will go ahead. No other comments, right, for the consent?
No, not on consent.
I'll entertain a motion then for consent.
So moved.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We're quiet tonight. up
Councilmember
here.
Carr, did you? Thank you.
All right, now we're going to go ahead and move on to new business, please. Item 7.
Item 7, minute action approving the mayor's appointments to the Youth Commission. So I need a motion to approve the mayor's appointments to the Youth Commission.
Okay, move.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Enthusiastically aye.
Enthusiastically, aye.
And then item 8 is similar, minute action approving mayor's appointments to the Planning Commission.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, and now I will perform the oath of office.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
If Youth Commissioners Derek Wood and Javier Chaudhary, and then Planning Commissioners Jay Singh and Rihanna Reese could all come up to the front here, and then I will swear you in.
If I can, just Doris and I do all the interviews, and it's really a great part of our job. And we had some fantastic candidates. The future is standing right here in the middle of these two. But it's just we had great candidates. Jay and Riona, great job, and congratulations to all of you. The second future is coming down right now.
Second future, come on down.
Okay. Maybe I'll have you stand here and face outward, so if anyone wants to take pictures. Thank you.
You keep coming around. There you go.
Okay, and if you could raise your right hand and repeat after me. First, we'll just say our names. I, Jay Singh.
I, JC.
Okay, and then all together. Do solemnly swear
Do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully
and that I will well and faithfully
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
upon which I'm about to enter.
upon which I'm about to enter.
Congratulations. Yeah. Jake is going to take a photo, and then after that, I need you to sign your oaths.
Yay. Thank you. Congratulations.
Okay, so if you can sign. And then I have certificates for you. That's for you, Jay. And then you got jelly beans and a city pin. And Rihanna. Did I say your name right? Rihanna?
Rihanna.
Rihanna's pretty name. Okay, here you go.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Oops, did I drop a city pin? And yes.
And I want to
are you
thank
Derek?
Councilman Tonneson and Councilwoman,
I'll put it
where'd
right
she
there.
go?
Thank you so much, and
Oh, there she is.
congratulations.
Sorry, hon.
And I need to get you
Panduro.
a city pin.
They do a fantastic job. They took over my old job. I had it since 2008, and it is one of the
Well, I will
best
get one
things
to
to
you
do,
because I don't-
to meet people who are our bosses, and now they want to come and work with us. And I always learn a lot, especially from the young people, and I know they do too. And I was really honored to appoint them and have the city council agree. Of course, they did all the work, so I just wanted to thank you. Yeah, all right, good job. Madam Clerk, we're going to go ahead and move on to item 9.
Thank you, Mayor. Give me one sec here. Okay. Seem to have misplaced a page, but item 9.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Council.
Okay.
I have the pleasure of providing a brief update to you this evening in regards to the energy conservation project that's currently underway. Tonight with me, I also have our project manager from the Wildian team joining in case there's any questions at the end of the presentation. So a brief refresher, the city conducted a request for qualifications process and selected Wildan as our ESCO, which is our energy services company. ESCOs essentially provide comprehensive energy solutions, including auditing, redesigning, and implementing changes with the goal of improved efficiency and cost savings. The objectives for Fairfield's energy program include assessing current baseline of our energy usage, and costs across multiple facilities and parks, maximizing energy and operational savings, a really big one here, which is essentially addressing deferred maintenance issues and reducing maintenance costs, and leveraging achieved savings through a turnkey project delivery, which essentially supports the staff allocation and resources that would be needed for some of the capital components of these projects. A brief timeline. So the last time we were here was in June of '23, where we were essentially indicating that we had selected Wildan and Project Kickoff. From that time, we've actually accomplished a great amount. Essentially, Wildan is wrapping up their investment grade audit, where they essentially walked a number of facilities and looked at everything from lighting, HVAC, roofing. From that process, they've made project recommendations. They have provided staff through an iterative process discussions in regards to project prioritization. We have looked at different financial analysis and funding strategies, both internal with our group of public works professionals and also with the Wildan team. Currently, we're looking at our scope refinement and pricing, and we are tracking to return to City Council in October in order to bring forth 2 items for consideration, one which would be a contract, construction contract, where we would essentially outline all of the different elements that we're looking for, the various measures, and also a financing contract, because we are anticipating that we will be financing some of these items. More to come on that. So before you is essentially a breakdown of the measures that we're exploring for phase 1. Essentially, the Wildan team is recommending, and city staff does support, a total of 22 facilities being touched, which is a lot, and 26 parks. And for the parks element, a lot of that is looking at irrigation controls, upgrading that so we can realize some pretty significant savings. I'd like to call to your attention 3 projects that may be of particular interest. One is the very top, which indicates the CUP, which is essentially our central utility plant. We have some machinery in there that is literally on their very last legs from the 1970s. And so this is a major modernization and upgrade in order to help with what essentially powers this campus. Another one that's pretty significant here that we're exploring is the Allenwood Aquatic Center dehumidifier, which has been out of commission for a number of years. And then the last is we're currently exploring solar at a total of 6 different facilities, potentially 7 based on a conversation that we're exploring with the county in regards to the Cordelia Library. More to come on that. The solar that we're looking here at is currently potentially going to be under the NEM 2. We have worked very diligently in order to work with PG&E to meet some of their requirements in order to be grandfathered into that program. And so there are significant cost benefits should we move forward with some of these sites. I will also mention that in terms of what the solar look, the aesthetic would be, the majority of it would either be by way of rooftop solar or carport, similar to what you're seeing here next door at the library. The heat pump water heaters is an excellent example of how Wildan is demonstrating value by alerting us to essentially free money and incentives and facilitating improvements with no capital contribution from the city. Your council approved on last month's consent calendar $270,000 worth of improvements, including the replacement and upgrades of 16 water heaters across 10 facilities. This measure is slightly different, as the program utilizes one where Wildan competitively bid and won the right to administer this for PG&E. Money was on a first-come, first-served basis, and so we took action as to not miss out on the opportunity. All of the other measures will be brought forth in one package to City Council. So in terms of a preliminary financial summary for phase 1 projects, overall we're looking at $31.9 million in program lifetime savings. This includes $2.3 million in program incentives associated with solar, $27 million in program lifetime costs. This includes a capital contribution of $9.8 million, which has been identified for fiscal year 25. This contribution is considered in the recently adopted 5-year CIP budget. $15.3 million in financing payments, which about $12 million of that is the actual amount that we would finance, and the residual would be what we would anticipate for interest over about a 14-year period. And then an estimated $1.9 million in operations for the brand new solar and maintenance of. So the net program lifetime savings is currently estimated at $7.2 million over a 30-year projection. The city and Wildan team are exploring financial options for the $12 million. A portion of the financing is being explored through a 0% on-bill financing program, and the remaining portion is being explored through a request for proposals to ensure the absolute best financing rate. Currently, again, we're exploring about a 14 to 16-year financing commitment. However, I should point out that through the preliminary financial exercises, we have been very intentional, and this has been an iterative process. We have requested for Wildan to go through probably about 15 different performance for us. And we expect net savings realized through utility, operations, and maintenance savings beginning year one. So we will be able to afford the payments that we're financing. In terms of next steps, as mentioned, we are refining the project phasing and the costs so that we can bring forward to City Council for your consideration. In October is what we're tracking, a construction contract and a financing plan. And with that, I'm available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Colleagues, any questions on this? Oh, looks like we're all good. That must have been perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I like that.
Thank you.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
the
I
time.
love the speediness of that.
And also that you didn't read every little thing that you have on there. I love that, because we can read too. But thank you very much.
Thank you.
I think we got you, and we'll see you soon.
Yes, ma'am. I was very intentional about being concise.
Very good. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. So now we're going to go ahead and move on to item 10.
Item 10, notice of funding availability for temporary emergency shelter operations update and council input. And our presenter is Samantha Burrows, Homeless Services Manager.
Okay. Good evening. So this evening, we are coming back to our emergency shelter funds, just to kind of go through the process that brought us here today. Back in April, we had the study session. We looked at the funding that we had been doing over the past year, a lot of one-time funds to fund our projects, and realizing that we can't sustain it at the current level that we had. So the council decided to release a notice of funding available for shelter operations. They also decided to have an ad hoc committee created. So we had Mayor Moy and council members Carr and Williams that joined us. We met twice, both on April 23rd and April 29th, to review a lot of the guidelines, the scoring, making sure we had requirements such as low barrier emergency shelter and exclusive referability from our PD, our Homeless Services Department, and the future contracted outreach providers. So any beds that we fund, we get to refer into exclusively. We were able to quick turnaround release the NOFA on May 1st. With a quick turnaround for our providers to get it back to us by May 24th. Our rank and review panel hustled and read and ranked all the ones that we got and got back to us and met on the 29th of May, and which brings us here today to go through their recommendation. And based off of your recommendation today, we will be bringing back the MOUs for approval in 2 weeks. So that's where we're at. You've seen this slide before. This is from what we supported last fiscal year, the different funding and the different programs, one-time funding sources versus general funds. The NOFA amounts, this is a 2-year contract. Per year, we can award up to $550,000 for a $1.1 million in total over the 2 years, if you so choose to. Our response, we've got 5 applications here. This are the applicants: Bay North, Change and New Beginnings, Can Be, Mission Samoa submitted 2 applications, and Shelter Solano / Bank, our Beck Avenue Navigation Center submitted 1. This shows you here how much they applied for and the number of beds that amount would support. Our rank and review panel consisted of 4 local government professionals across California, from Orange, Alameda, Solano, and San Joaquin County. All of them have extensive experience in homeless services in their communities, in implementing programs themselves and supporting and looking at results from impact and all of that investment. The panel reviewed all the proposals and scored them individually, and then they came together to meet and discuss and come up with a consensus, and their recommendation on their scoring demonstrated impact or potential impact for a new program, and really looking at the results from impact. It was really important to them as local providers. This was their recommendations, and I'll go through why they recommended. Unanimously, they recommended CAMBI and recommended that we fund them at their full asking amount. Bay North Church, they recommended, which is, they applied actually for a winter shelter, so I have that indicated there, so that would be open from November through March. Instead of an inclement weather shelter, they would be open every single night, was their proposal. And the panel recommended $115,000 based off of the rate that usually is per night for the winter, the inclement weather shelter. So that's where that number came from. And then suggested the rest go to Beck Avenue Navigation Center. Based off of those adjustments, those are how many folks they would be supporting per night, estimated with the adjusted amounts. Cost per night, since you guys always like to look this. So this is based off of the applications, and in the case of Bay North Church, that would be the amount based off of the funding that is recommended, the $105,000. Program outcomes. So these outcomes come directly from the annual performance reports from HMIS. We ask that they provide those. The panelists specifically looked at 2 very key outcomes that are like federally looked at regularly, which is increasing income between entry and exit and positive housing outcomes. And then just to refresh, positive housing outcomes is permanent housing or transitional housing. It's not going back to another shelter. It's not institutional setting or anything like that. It's those particular categories. So based off of the annual performance reports, those are the outcomes that were given. Bay North being a new program, of course, cannot provide that level of data. I will also note that Mission submitted the same data report for 2 applications, which did provide a lot of confusion for the panelists, but this is what was submitted. Based off their recommendations, this was kind of like a little color-coded for you guys. As I said before, they recommended CAMBI as their top recommendation based off of meeting the requirements of emergency shelter, being low barrier. They did note a few barriers, but not anything that they thought was super critical. It was the best cost per bed night. They felt it had the best capacity, especially with the cost in the diversity of the household types they are able to accommodate, including like intact families, sometimes being able to keep partners together, that sort of thing. And their outcomes were the best overall. Bay North and Bank scored second across the panel. They liked, again, low barrier, emergency shelter. They also liked with Bay North being able to support a new program for an unmet need in the community. We do not have a winter shelter. As we had somebody from Solano County, they were aware of that unmet need on the panel. And they really liked the thought of being able to seed and see the potential impact that they would be able to bring. And the capacity, again, outcomes, Bay North wasn't able to provide because it would be a new program. Bank, of course, had a higher cost, so that's where that was. Not recommended. The feedback was that for the pallet shelter, there was a lot of confusion about whether or not they actually meet the definition of a low barrier shelter. There was contradictory information in the application itself, and also the capacity. There was questions about capacity because they said 10 to 18, and they were really confused about that because that wasn't explained. Also with data management, again, the same data was submitted for the 2 applications, and there was a noted concern that there was a lot in their application about emphasizing work, but there wasn't a high percentage. It was actually very low. On the previous slide, you saw it was 4% of those actually increasing their income between exit and entry. And then the Mission Samoa Work Program actually does not qualify for this funding. It's a transitional housing program. They still kind of ranked it and gave some feedback, but overall they did not recommend it because it does not meet the basic NOFA requirement of emergency shelter.
Which one is that?
The work program.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
the homeless to work program. Okay, any questions?
All right. Any questions or comments here? Councilman Tonneson.
Yeah, I'd like to make some changes here, or recommend some changes. I'm good with Can Be. I'm good with Bay North. And, you know, Doug's kind of the expert in this area, but I'm hearing good things about Samoa Church. You know what, I'd like to make some changes here, and I'll get that out there now, but if we have speakers, want to let them speak before we finish?
Would you guys like to hear the speakers first?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, let's go ahead and do that, Madam Clerk.
Okay, so far I just have one card. Jean Rue. Oh, sorry, it looked like an R. Sorry about that.
Hello, Mayor Moy, council
Hello.
members, thank you for the opportunity to talk. So I'm listening to all this. I don't know where those numbers came from or how they were evaluated. Maybe we misguided our paperwork, but our numbers are way better than that. Our Homeless to Work program is a transitional program that the city council brought to us 2 years ago. It's very successful. Our MOU stated that we needed to help people, 10 people per year find a job in permanent living, but we did 17 this year. So that program is successful and been successful. And Councilman Pandura and Tonneson were part of bringing it forward when we first started. Our pallet shelter program was brought by the city of Fairfield and the JPA. And with Mission Samoa, we've invested over $1 million in that program already, in just shelters, the bathrooms, securing the property donated to us, and then we built a multi-purpose room. The city manager helped us get $80,000 for a laundry room, which is there. So I'm not understanding how we can just walk away from that now. You know, we're over $1 million invested in it. You know, and it is a successful program. The pallet shelter program has gotten people jobs, has gotten people housing, quite a few people, I'd say a higher percentage than our Homeless to Work program. But as far as 10 to 18, our capacity is 18. There's 18 beds there. There's one bed we usually keep open in case we have somebody with a virus or somebody with bed bugs, we have to separate them. But there's always at least 17 beds, plus the 4 beds for the Homeless to Work program. Not to mention that we have other programs, reentry programs. We have 3 other houses in Fairfield that are fully occupied with guys that are functioning and working. So I'd like to ask that the council reconsider what's being said and what's being done, and that that you revisit the numbers because they're way off.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Did anyone else want to speak on this item? Okay, there isn't anyone online, actually, so.
Okay, did you want to speak, Councilman Doug? Yes, I'm closing
Then I'll
public
finish.
comments, okay. Go ahead.
And so I wanted to kind of move some numbers around. I think that from all accounts that I hear, I think, Gene, you're doing a good job. So I'd like to pull off of Shelter Solano. Nothing personal, Brandon. I think Gene's been doing a good job. If we could cut that in half, or maybe 75%, give Samoa 75K twice, so 150, and drop Shelter Solano to 25 twice, or 50. And those are just numbers I'm throwing out there for now, but Doug, you're really more of the expert in this area, but I think that Samoa's doing good, and I'd like to, keep them going. So.
Go ahead, Councilman Doug.
Yeah, I do work in the field, have for 20 years, and I'm familiar with all the places. The one that I struggle with is Shelter Solano. I've been out there a few times. I couldn't get in. I don't get any phone calls back. I always, even at night, I'll go out to Mission Samoa, and they always house my homeless. If I have some homeless people, they always take care of it. And same with Carrie Rader at over there. I have visited Bay North, and what a fabulous facility they have. And I know Pastor Sam personally has the passion needed for expansion and continued work with that. So I concur with the numbers Scott was putting out there. Scott's the number guy. He's a mortgage lender. I'm not good with the numbers. I only know with what I see. I'm also pretty bad at paperwork, and I understand that sometimes we can get lost in some poor paperwork. And I've done it myself. I think that's what's happened with Mission Samoa, because I've actually seen it. I've been out there, I've seen it. I went out there at night. I check on all these places because I need to, because of my clients. So I concur with Scott's numbers, and I think that that's what we need to do.
Councilwoman Panduro, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. So for myself, I also feel the need that, to continue to invest in Mission Samoa. I know there has been some challenges, and I just hope that maybe going forward, we need to make sure that, that the data is being inputted, there's accountability, and that there's tracking that continues, that we get the reports, that to make sure that what you're doing out there is working, because if the numbers are off, why is that? So I just want to make sure that we are all on the same page and working together. And I appreciate that you and Camby have both come to the Cap Solano meetings. You guys have both been present. You guys have both spoken. And so now I'm going to ask maybe if Bay North can come to a meeting or two just to better and, just come be a part of the group at Cap Solano. It'd be good to see you there as well, because you are going to be dealing with this population as well. And we have some good conversations, and there's a lot happening right now. And Shelter Solano has also been at the Cap Solano meetings as well. They have been present. So, but thank you for that. And I would also be in agreement with the numbers that have been presented, the new numbers.
All right. Thank you. I have a question, if I could, Sam.
Yeah.
So about Mission Samoa, you got the numbers from HMIS.
It was in their annual performance report that they provided, which is the data that they submit, which goes straight to our continuum of care and is reported to HUD. So that is the data that is reported to HUD and is a direct in our performance report as a county. Yeah, so it came directly from their reports that they provided.
Could you come back up, Jean? May I ask you a question? I'm just trying to get this straight here, because I know that there have been some great outcomes. I'm wondering what got messed up in the translation.
So I do have a person that does the numbers from the HIMS. Samantha's asked us several times for accountable numbers and numbers that we've submitted that she didn't agree with, that we had to resubmit because she doesn't have access to HIMS, which I don't understand.
Yeah, HMIS, yeah. You have to be a provider.
Yes, and I have access now, but we cannot run the reports for the individual agencies. We can only run the reports currently for our own agencies, but part of the MOUs will we are requesting that the providers allow me to have viewable access to be able to run the reports, and that was in the NOFA.
Yeah, that makes sense. I know, I mean, professionally, I did this too, and I was very familiar with HMIS and did all of that. But so I understand how numbers can get messed up, and I totally agree with Councilman Doug. I'm not going to disagree with him. He's worked with you for a long time. What I would like to say is I'd like to see your team work with her and bring it back before I can approve this. I would like to take all the money from bank and give it to them, all of it. I don't think we should be funding anything over, except for what we already have for bank until we do an audit on that. I can't go for that, so I'd rather just have all the money go toward you. But did you want to say something about that?
Well, I want to vote on this tonight.
Well, we're not voting, we're just giving direction.
I want to give direction tonight, but if you're, when is there going to be an audit? Or is that what you're saying?
Well, I'm saying we should look into an audit, yeah. So, because if bank is going to continue, we're going to want to continue, want to fund. At this time, I'm not comfortable with that, and I know I've talked to Councilman Doug about that. And we do have how many beds if we don't give them any of this money?
They will continue to be funded through PLHA for 10 beds.
For 10 beds,
This
right.
fiscal year, yes. They have the 5-year contract for the PLHA funds.
So, yeah, so we do have beds there. And it sounds like, well, you're less expensive in that you have more results, is what I'm hearing. But I'd like to see that on paper.
Yeah.
So, but it's up to you. You guys are majority. If you want, if you disagree and you want to give some money to bank, that's the three of you, and that's fine. I think they have enough.
Madam Mayor, I do have one more speaker, Brandon Worth.
Okay. Brandon?
Thank you for reopening public speaking for this. I appreciate it,
Sure.
Mayor Moy. Council members, I was not planning on speaking, but I think certainly if we're going to lose funding, that it does warrant for me to say a few words. So first of all, I'm 100% in support of our three organizations having funding. I do recognize we have the 10 beds through the PLHA, and we appreciate that because we know we're specifically serving the city of Fairfield, which that is the point of that shelter. Some of my befuddlement is that if we have a shelter that has been designed to provide navigation services, wraparound services, 130 beds, that was awarded to manage the facility for the next unforeseen years. I can't quote the lease right now. I want to say 25 to 50 years. We are always scrambling for proper funding. And you've heard us say this before, that this is the only county that we have to do that, to run a properly funded shelter. The dollars. Well, first let me come back to the rank and review. One thing I do notice is that the true scores are not revealed. There is a raw score, and Bank had the #1 score. However, I understand a rank and review needs to understand what is needed for the community. So I understand why these two organizations were awarded. My concern about funding, we're not comparing apples to apples. They are different types of shelters. Our shelter is bringing in the highest acuity of mental health on the streets. The other shelters are not necessarily doing that. I don't mean to speak for you guys. I don't know the true, but when you have 75 beds serving a certain population, the outcomes are going to be different than a family shelter. Our family shelter down in Martinez, we have over a 75% success rate because it's parents and children involved. We have adults at this shelter that are high acuity of behavioral health needs, substance use. Councilmember Carr, respectfully, you always can call me. I will always do a tour. So when you say that you can't get a hold of people, I take that personal. The people who know me, I respond, I jump, and I will take a phone call, and I will get you on site. It is a secured site. People who drive up to the gates, they don't react to, we have all kinds of shenanigans of how to get in, why they want to get in. So I apologize if somebody said, no, you can't come in. However, people you can contact me. Anybody can contact
Brandon,
me.
I've called you a couple of times.
I
Three
do
or
not
four
have.
times. Never got a call back.
Councilmember Carr, I will never ignore your calls. Let's exchange numbers. Let's look at it. Let's look at the system. I don't know what's going on. My emails work. Scott calls me.
Talk to your I did finally get a call back from Shane, and she said that there was a family emergency or something that was going on.
Yeah, I've gone through a ringer past 6 months.
So I'm just saying, I did call. I wouldn't know this if I didn't.
But you didn't call me.
I did.
Okay.
I did.
Okay. So Scott, I understand. So I don't take it personal. I do think this council needs to understand how to continue a navigation center that will serve the most unmet folks in our community and keep that on the top of the radar. I am concerned when I see a winter shelter at $99 a night. I don't know what the numbers are. I know what our numbers are, being a lease cost, being 3.6 acres, the utility cost, the insurance cost, the liability cost. It's expensive to run such a compound, if you will. So don't know if a rank and review really digs in the differences of this place that's doing wraparound services, the amount of staff for the acuity of mental health. So I think I've gone about my 3 minutes.
No, that's okay. I have a question, if you don't mind. What do you do for your folks who have serious mental health issues?
We have multiple layers. So we have case managers based on the population of, for every 25 folks in the shelter, there's an assigned case manager.
Okay.
Housing First, you cannot make people meet with a case manager.
That's correct.
But we reach out, they walk out around the campus, they try to engage, they invite. That's as far as we can't go with folks in a Housing First program.
Right.
Case managers. We have a senior case manager where it's referred to for high acuity of health. Case managers are not mental health experts,
Right.
but they see signs. And so there's an invitation for a referral on site. We have the person that walks around that's doing groups, that's doing anger management groups, that's doing accessible for all kinds of meetings with the individuals.
Okay.
That person is also working with behavioral health department to set up appointments with their counselors.
Okay.
Could be medicated direction, or it could be counseling.
Okay, and if they refuse?
If they refuse, so again, it goes into what's the process of the shelter. So we have 90 days where we're trying to work through Maslow's hierarchy of needs, decompressing, getting people to a trust level for engagement. It can happen within the first week. It might happen in the later weeks. Again, the report cards we send out to the staff. Our successful timeline for positive outcomes is just under 6 months.
Yes.
Back to your original question, 90 days, then we issue, it's time to move out in 30 days unless they re-engage with their case managers and their programming.
Right.
They're working through our services.
Right. And you do the same kind of thing for people who are addicted to substances?
Yes.
You offer them
Yeah.
help?
First, yes, offering help, the SUDS programs, AODS, whatever that's out there, our case managers are utilizing that. Again, the campus is a dry campus. If
Right.
anything is found, it is asked to be released.
Okay.
If they're not going to release it, automatic discharge does happen.
Right.
Do people use? Yes.
Of course they do.
Yeah.
Off campus, maybe on campus, but yeah.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
You know, it happens in public schools. It probably happens
Yeah, I
around
remember
here.
my sea wing over at Fairfield. Anyway.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. And how many people do you have over there right now?
73.
73, and how many beds can you use now?
Well, we're funded, July 1st. We're technically underfunded. Maybe
Right.
20 beds. Contracts have gone into 10 here and Suisun City. So we're way underfunded. Our projection is at 75 right now. Our budget's designed to be 75 funded beds. Sometimes we're up to 89 people. We have a handful of unfunded folks right now because of this funding right here. We're
Right.
not going to discharge them. We're still taking care of these folks if they're working through the program.
Right. Okay, I appreciate you answering the questions.
And thank you for the questions. Thank you for the opportunity. I just wanted it to be fair.
No, stay up there.
Go ahead there.
Okay. So, I have been able to contact you. We have had conversations where the communication wasn't great. We had a meeting at City Hall, seemed to be better communication, then it seems to have dropped off. And I've been by your side for a long time. And now that's all for you. I still stick with what I went with on the original numbers. I don't feel like we should cut bank off all at once. That's just my opinion. So if I'm giving direction, my direction is going to be changing New Beginnings, Bay North, keep the same. Shelter Solano, drop to 25 and 25, so a total of 50. Bring back in Samoa at 75 and 75, and a total of 50. That
Okay.
would be my direction.
All right.
And I second that direction.
Sit down, Scott.
And you're good with that too, Doris?
I just had a question around the Bay North, the amount per bed. Because I know that it's came up before. I just wanted to know how you came up with that number.
So their original application was the full NOFA amount. The rank and review panel, based off of their recommendations, suggested it based off of inclement weather cost, which was $1,000 per night. You, of course, have discretion to adjust that. I also want to just note, as you guys are talking the numbers, $25K will not fund a full bed at bank at their current rate. It would need to be closer to 35 to fund one bed for 1 year. I just did the quick math.
Okay, Sam Morris would also like to speak.
Pastor Morris.
Hello.
Hola.
How are you doing?
Huh?
So I guess, first of all, just honored to be here tonight. I wanted to say, as many of you know, we have partnered with this wonderful city and our congregation in our 6-acre, 40,000 square foot campus has contributed and will continue to contribute whether we're funded or not. I think that we understand systemically that we have a situation within our city where we are, as partners, we work together regardless. And so we're not here tonight to argue over what you want to do. We agree and we'll accept whatever you decide. However, we do understand that when we run our shelter, we don't have to do anything. And our mission is when we have 25 to 30 guests, we have showers there. They're going to get the full wraparound services on our campus. They're going to get fed a dinner. They're going to get fed a breakfast, and they're going to be sent away with a lunch. That's what we do. If many of you have come to visit our campus, and you go out and you would talk to any of the homeless guests who we've ever had the courtesy to serve, will tell you that they felt at home. They felt that they were treated as human beings like we should treat everyone. We don't identify them as being individuals with issues, no other than the issues of me seeing my daughter or my son who could be in those conditions. And so we take our work very seriously. I'm not going to speak to what other agencies have done or are not doing. I think the work speaks for itself. But the $99 a night is basically built around the size of the 18,000 square foot campus that we utilize to house them in. And so if you would take running the heat, running the air and the water and the food and the things that we take in the account to fund that each night, that's how we came up with that price. Before that, when we were running, in increment days with the city. But however it shakes down, we're still committed to doing what we need to do. As a matter of fact, we're opening up this week to be a cooling center for you, and there's no funding for that at all, but we're still going to do it because that's how committed we are to our city.
Pastor Morris, I, of course, have visited your place when it was going full bore. And I actually had somebody placed there that you guys took in an emergency. And it was great. And it was more like a navigation center. I know you're not calling yourself that, but you were helping people with, they have computer lab, they have work, they've got health care. I mean, it goes on and on. So to me, what I saw and what I know from my professional background is that you had a navigation center, and that's not what you're charging or saying. So I know you're humble, and I'm not. So I'm going to say that. I'm going to say that about you, about what you've done over there. And I know that you're doing the cooling center, and it is a great cost, air conditioning in that place. And we feel blessed to have you. So, anybody else have any other questions from him?
Great work, Pastor. Great work.
Yeah, thank you. I think you're off the hook for now, sir.
All right, I appreciate that.
All right. So, did you want to up that amount so it was a full bed to $35,000 for bank? Recrunch?
35 is a full bed for a year?
Mhm.
Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Yeah.
35 and 35, so that'd be 70, 65 and 65.
130?
Oh, no, it'd be,
No, 100.
no, that's taken, no.
Yeah, you would need to shave 10
No, I don't
off
wanna-
of one of the,
I don't want to shave that much from Gene at this point.
Oh, come on up.
Bank is more than willing to pull the application to make sure that there's funding that's fair for the church, Canby, and Mission Samoa. We are being funded with 10 beds. We're not here to create tension. I will speak up to tension, but we're not here to create tension. We want to make sure everybody's served. But I'll always speak up if I think something's not being said unfair. So we'll pull the application so that one bed, we know that person's going to be served in the community, and it could go with one of the other organizations.
Thank you.
Done deal.
So then 70, 75,
so 100 for the
Yeah,
pallet
if-
shelter?
and then
Yeah,
Brandon pulls?
if Shelter Inc. is pulling their application request, then that would effectively be a full 100 that you all could allocate to Mission Samoa.
Mission Samoa. Is that what the majority wants?
Like I said, I've seen the work. I say yes.
We're going to hold you to it, sir. Are you all okay with that?
yeah.
Okay.
And just to
there's the
clarify,
direction.
just to
Just
clarify,
to
you
clar-
had,
yeah,
go
you're
ahead.
talking about the pallet, funding the pallet program, right? Because they
Correct.
had two
That's
applications. Okay, I just wanted to make sure that we're bringing you the correct MOUs.
Do you want to read that back to me? then?
Yes, I have 100K for Mission, the pallets to make it, that they call it the
Twice.
HELL program. 300K for Canby, so this is per year, and 150 for Bay North for a winter shelter.
Okay. And I'm going to just ask colleagues again right now, and this doesn't have to do with you. I want to be able to support bank in the future. Would you guys be okay with asking for a cost for an audit of that, their work?
I would be okay to ask for a cost for the audit, but I also think that we should do that when we have a full dais.
Well, we'd bring it back for a
Bring
full
it back.
dais,
Yes,
yeah.
that'd be fine.
Okay. You guys okay?
I would wait on that. I mean,
I would also wait.
You're not going to give me a second? I'll bring it back on another agenda. Thank you. Thank you. I think we're good now on the direction there, right? All right. All right. So now we're going to go to public hearings, and item 11, please.
Public hearing and resolution 2024-174 of the City Council of the City of Fairfield annexing territory, Woolner Avenue by Solano Napa Habitat for Humanity to Community Facilities District Number 2012-2, Public Safety Services Open Space Operation and Park Maintenance as annexation number 68, authorizing the levy of a special tax within the annexed territory and submitting the levy of a special tax to the qualified electors thereof, and Resolution 2024-175 of the City Council of the City of Fairfield declaring the results of a special annexation election in territory annexed to Community Facilities District Number 2012-2, Public Safety Services, Open Space Operation, and Park Maintenance, determining the validity of prior proceedings and directing recording of amended notice of special tax lien for City of Fairfield Community Facilities District Number 2012-2, Public Safety Services, Open Space Operation, and Park Maintenance, annexation number 68, Woolner Avenue by Solano Napa Habitat for Humanity. And our presenter is Chris Lewis, Senior Public Works Management Analyst.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. Valerie is out ill today, so I'm covering for her. Before you tonight is annexation number 68 for CFD 2012-2, which funds citywide public safety services, open space operations, and park maintenance. The properties being considered for annexation are 3 single-family residential parcels that were developed by Habitat for Humanity. These parcels are designated as affordable housing units in accordance with the CFD 2012-2 rate and method of apportionment, and they are exempt from the annual CFD special tax. However, if at any point in the future the properties no longer have this affordable housing designation, then they will be subject to the applicable CFD tax at that time in the following fiscal year. So City Council initiated this annexation process on May 21st with the adoption of resolution number 2024-123, and by conducting a public hearing, carrying out a ballot procedure, and adopting the resolutions before you, Council will complete the annexation process and the territory will be added to the district. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'm going to go ahead and open the public hearing. Do we have any speakers?
I do not. Did anyone wish to speak on this item?
All righty, I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing. And I'm going to entertain a motion to approve the resolutions unless you have questions.
No? So moved.
A second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, and that was unanimous.
And Madam Mayor, you're just approving the first one, 2024-174, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
And now we're going to move on to...
No, I need to open the ballot now.
Oh, right, okay, sorry.
And there is one yes vote in favor of annexation.
I second.
Okay.
So we need to now vote on Resolution 2024-175.
Yes, so moved from Tonneson, a second from, I know it's always Doug.
That's me.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. All righty then, thank you. That was unanimous. All right, thank you very much. Oh, she's gone already. Okay, item 13.
Item 12. We're on item 12, public hearing and resolution 2024-176 of the City Council of the City of Fairfield approving the comprehensive user fee study and amending the master fee schedule for fiscal year 2024-2025 police fees. And our presenter is Savita Chaudhary, Assistant City Manager.
Good evening, Mayor and Council members. I actually do not have a presentation today. I just want to clarify, we had come to Council on May 7th for the user fee study approval, and there was an error identified in the section for police fees. For example, the ABC fees was going to be $50, but by mistake, it was listed as $519.
What we meant. Just kidding.
So those 3 pages of the police fees were incorrectly added to the proposed fee schedule. So this hearing is clearing or clarifying those fee schedules for only police. And because these are not related to development fees, they do not have a 60-day wait period, and they will still be effective starting July 8th, as previously proposed.
Okay. So what do we need to do now?
Open the public
Okay.
hearing.
All right, I'm going to open the public hearing. Any speakers?
No. Did anyone wish to speak on this item? No? Okay.
And nobody online? Nope. So I'll close the public hearing, and I'll entertain a motion to approve Resolution 2024-176.
So moved.
Moved. There's a second with Doug again. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
That was unanimous. Thank you. And now we're on item 13, please.
Yes, public hearing and resolution 2024-177 of the City Council of the City of Fairfield approving the fiscal year 2024 to 2025 Community Development Block Grant Annual Action Plan. And our presenter is LaTanya Terrones, Housing Senior Management Analyst.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. My name is LaTanya Terrones. I'm here to discuss with you the CDBG Annual Action Plan for fiscal year 24-25. I'm asking you to hold a public hearing to adopt Resolution 2024 to approve the annual action plan, also give direction to the city manager to submit all of the documents related to the action plan. So the goal of the CDBG program is to provide decent housing, suitable living environment, and expand economic opportunities. The annual action plan allows us an opportunity to discuss with HUD, let HUD know how we plan to utilize the funding for the next fiscal year. And it is completely in line with the funding and the goals that were set in our consolidated plan during fiscal year 2022. And this annual action plan would be the 3rd year of that consolidated plan. During this funding cycle, we held multiple opportunities for the public to comment and to review our funding. We held, last year we came to you, I believe last fall we came to you and let you know that we were going to do a workshop to do some capacity building with nonprofit organizations, which we did. And we had about 45 organizations represented at that workshop. In addition, we held another workshop in October where we had another 30 or so organizations attend that workshop as well as we had multiple public meetings throughout the funding cycle and opportunities for the public to review and to comment on the application process. During fiscal year 2022, we approved the goals for the CDBG program as public services, non-public services, fair housing, and administration, which we will only review applications that fit in line with the goals that are set. So any applications that were submitted that were not in line with the goal set, we are unable to move forward in the process for funding. So for fiscal year 24-25, HUD has allocated us $837,945. It is only about a 1% increase from what we were allocated during fiscal year 23-24. And so with that, just as a reminder, so we're only able to allocate 15% of the total annual allocation towards our public services, which is our direct services to our clients. 20% will automatically go to the administration of the program, and all additional funding can be used to serve non-public service or things that don't fit within the public service categories. And so with that, as we had our CDBG Advisory Committee go through an extensive process to review all of the CDBG applications. They reviewed and ranked every single application against the funding, against the scoring sheet that we had. And so this is the recommended funding for Meals on Wheels, $52,945, Empowered Aging, $12,750. And this is keeping in mind that only 25% of this funding is for those public services. And outside of the admin, the remaining funding goes towards non-public services, so like public infrastructure projects within the community. And then we have the Lions Center for $15,000, the Levin for $15,000, Parks and Recreation Scholarship Program for $30,000. That's the entire $125,000 for public services. And then we had for non-public service, we would include the Public Works 88 access ramps design. They're seeking for 2 projects to be multiple phases over the next 3 years to be supported with some CDBG funding. And that would be the access ramps throughout the city, as well as the Liebel Park bathroom project as well. Again, that will be a phased-in project, so both of those are just asking for this to be year 1, first phase of those projects, and they also requested subsequent funding for future years to finish out these projects as well. 20% of that funding to go to CDBG administration, and then the Housing Services Department is seeking to do some work with affordable housing developers to do multifamily rehabilitation throughout the city, so $244,000 for that, and that would conclude the remaining of the funding that is available. And with that, so we're seeking your approval. Any questions?
Thank you. Great presentation. So I'm going to open the public hearing. Do you have any public speakers?
I do not.
All right, I'm going to close the public hearing. And questions? Yes, Councilman Tonneson.
I'm happy with the numbers that I see, but I just had a question, LaTanya, is I sat on that CDBG for a couple of years. Is it still the same? Do people come in with their whole group and give presentations, and is it still go like that, or is it more of a streamlined process now?
They are allowed to, so we allow the applicants to actually fill out a complete application, and then what we do is we allow them an opportunity to do a presentation to the advisory committee, just so the advisory committee could ask any questions or clarify whatever's in their application. So they are given those opportunities.
And does a planning commissioner still sit on that advisory board?
Yes. So we
Thank
have a planning and a youth commissioner as well.
Yeah. Thank you.
Councilman Panduro.
I'm good with the numbers.
Thank you, LaTanya. So I had a quick question. I'm happy to hear that you had those workshops and you guys it sounds like there was really good response to the attendance.
Yes.
Did you see an increase in applicants due to having these workshops, or was it about the same? Because I think that was one of the issues, that was one of the questions last time, was like, how has the outreach been and what was the response? And so now that you have I guess, increased attendance in regards to information going out, was the intake of applicants any different?
Unfortunately, we did not get, we did have maybe 2 new applicants that we didn't have in prior years, but the workshops did not, allow us to get any newer applicants that we weren't expecting.
Okay. And Councilman Doug?
And it says that you did have public speaking available. Did you have any input from those sessions?
No. And we do send out, anytime we have a public meeting, because most of them are online, we had a couple in person in our office as well. We do have a contact list with over 200 people, so we send all of that information out so that they do know that the meetings are taking place and have an opportunity to present.
And we didn't have any input? Okay, thank you.
You covered all the bases. I know it's difficult for staff to do that. I recall from the days when I applied. And I'm glad to see that Meals on Wheels is there. It's really important because I know they lost funding elsewhere. So I'll go ahead and entertain a motion then to approve. We already did that.
So moved.
So moved. Second, all in favor? Aye.
Thank you.
Thanks. And you know what? I think that was lucky number 13. And we're adjourning until July 16th, 2024. Happy 4th of July, Independence Day. Be safe.